I'm a logger on loaded, we got it.
You know, you can't log out. It's not allowed.
Oh, it's hard.
Where did you go to?
I'm
I'm not gonna do that. Ever do that. As long as you stay coming on, me well, friend. You just won't be wrong. I don't know. No.
I was in the other class.
Man, let me call you back. I'm trying to help the student.
I just sit a video or something.
Cry about what? Oh. Just hate, man. Put back on me. No swear.
All right, here we are. Ready to start the next module. And this time I made sure I worked all the problems out ahead of time for the practice so I wouldn't get hung up on anything. I posted the video from last class. Yeah, here we go. Let me share. You can see that. There it is right there. Zoom, decimals, and percents, practice questions work. Oh, sorry, that was the first one. Module 2. The questions that we covered last class were 1 through 13, 15, and 16. So I still need to do 14 and 15 and do a video of those. So I'll do that. But today we're going to start in module 3. And we're making a lot of headway. So we're not going to cover one module every week. That's way faster than we need to go. So we may only go about halfway through the practice today. Because we have, let's see, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 modules left. And probably 12 weeks. So we probably do one every 2 weeks and be fine. So no need to get in a big hurry. So markup and, sorry. If you hear thumping and stuff in the background, it's somebody working upstairs. Sorry about that. A little distracting, I understand. We will make it through. So this module is markup. And of course, the opposite, markdown. Really one formula. This is good news and bad news. The good news is one formula gets us through this whole module. The bad news is some of the questions can be really tricky with this one formula. So it's not every question. Some of the questions are easy. Not all of them are as easy as they sound. So make sure you stick with me through the whole module because there are some what I think are pretty tricky ones in here too. And the formula I'm talking about is this one, cost plus markup equals selling price. So if you own a business, you buy some product that's your cost, you add a markup to it because you need to be profitable. And the cost plus the markup is the selling price. We abbreviate that this way. And markdown would work the same way. It would just be a negative markup if you were reducing prices, which sometimes happens towards the stuff sits on the shelf too long. You start to mark it down to make room for other products. So we're also going to use the formula in its other forms, meaning we're going to solve this one. Let me rewrite it this way. Selling price equals, I'm just flipping it over, cost plus markup. Then we could solve for cost, subtract markup from both sides, and the cost would be whatever that selling price is minus the markup. Sometimes we'll use it in that form, depending on what we're looking for. And then, of course, the markup would be whatever the selling price is minus whatever the cost was. So these three are the formulas we'll use for this module. And like I said, for some of these, it's pretty straightforward. Not too bad, pretty easy. Then some of them kind of tricky, require a little bit of manipulation of the equations and thinking it through. But I think with these practice problems, you should be able to see one of every variety. Now, if you do get to a problem on a test that we didn't do in a practice problem, you can always text me and I can work that out for you. That's always possible. I try to have practice problems that represent all the test questions, but it's always possible that one slip by. So let's look at some of the types of questions you get for markup and markdown. Let's see, here's the practice quiz, and we'll try to get about halfway through it and reserve the other half for next class. All right, question one, find the markup on a computer system that sells for $23.55.90 but costs $18.49.95. What I like to do on all these problems is mark what I have. You know, I have this selling price equals cost plus markup. And I want to find out what I have, what I'm looking for. Let's see, cost equals selling price minus markup, and markup equals selling price minus cost. So those are the three things. Right here, I have the selling price. See, it tells you it sells for that. So that's our S. This is what it costs. So that's our C. And they're telling us to find the markup. So that means we're looking for M. So we're going to use this in this form. We're looking for M. We have selling price. We have cost. So we simply take the selling price, which is what you put it out on the shelf for. It's out on your shelf. It costs $2,355.90. The cost, original cost that you paid for it was $18.49.95. When we subtract those two, we should get our markup. And maybe somebody out there can help me that's got a calculator handy and tell me what that is.
I have $505.95.
Very good. Thank you for your help. Right there. So the markup amount was $505.95. So if you're selling this product for $23.55.90, you paid as a retailer, you paid $18.49.95. That means you marked it up $505.95. All right, find the cost of the radio. I'm going to mark these as we go through. I'm finding the cost. That's what I'm looking for. C. It sells for $276.45. So that must be the selling price. And the markup is $36.95. So since I'm looking for the cost, I'm going to use this. I'm looking for the cost. I've got the selling price and the markup. So the selling price, $276.45 minus $36.95. That's a decimal. And somebody, when they get when they can, let me know what you get.
I have the cost at $239.50.
Thank you. Right there. All right. And now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking this stuff's easy. I don't have to worry about this at all. Well, starting on question 3, they start to get a lot more challenging. So I agree that those first couple were not bad, but here we go into things that are a little more challenging. It costs $5,600 for a manufacturer to manufacture a jet ski. If the desired percent of markup based on cost is 48%, how much should the jet ski sell for? So notice they give us $5,600, the manufacturer. So that's our cost. And they're asking us for the sales price, the selling price. But they didn't directly give us the markup. They told us the percent of markup, they want it to be 48% of whatever the cost was. How do I find that? If I want to mark up something 48% and I pay $5,600 for it, how do I find out in dollars how much that is?
Would we need to find out 48% to 5,600?
Very good. And how would you do that?
5,600 times 0.48.
Perfect. So here's what she's saying. We need 48% of this number. So we multiply 5,600 times 48.48. And that'll give us the markup. Now, it's not the answer to the question, but it's a step along the way. So what is the markup?
Is it 2,688?
That sounds reasonable. $2,688. All right, so now we have the cost and we have the markup, so we can use this formula to get the selling price. Cost $5,600 plus markup 2,688.
$8,288.
Very good. All right, the cost, excuse me, the selling price of a fax machine is $341.67. What percent of markup based on cost, or what is the percent of markup based on cost if the cost of the fax machine was 205? So the first thing we need to find out is how much the markup was. How do we do that? We're given a selling price here. We're given a cost here. Somebody tell me how you find the markup.
Would it be to subtract 200, is that 207, 205 from 341.6 and 67 cents?
Think that sounds like, yeah. We do the subtract the cost from the selling price, and that should give us the markup. That 136 something something 67. All right, then they want to know, well, if that's the markup, what was the percent based on the cost? Now they make a point of saying based on cost because later we're going to have some problems where they want to know the percent based on the selling price. So it matters. But this one's based on cost. And I know that the markup amount is 136.67. How do I find the markup percent based on cost? Anyone? I take the markup. And what do I divide it by?
Would this be the cost at 205? Would we divide it by that?
Very good. Because it says based on cost. And that rounds to 67%. Is that what you got?
Yes, I have that.
Okay, good. Thank you. I like to confirm these. I don't want to show people wrong. All right, question number 5 is very similar to that last one. So So let me give you a second to try to work through the whole thing to get the percent markup based on cost. And then I'll work it out too, and we'll see if our answers match.
I have the markup at 3,432. Is that what we need it?
That's part of the way there.
Okay,
So wait a minute, let me get that number from you. What was that number?
3,432.
Okay. 3,400 and I'm sorry, 32. All right, that's the markup amount. Now find the percent based on cost.
Okay, would this number be divided by 3,300? Or no? Wait a minute. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because
Okay.
why did you choose 3,300?
Because this was the cost. This is,
Very good.
yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, based on cost.
Very good. Very good. So we divide by 3,300. And we're going to get something greater than 1. So something over 100%. Let's see. 3432.
I got 1.04. 104.
Yeah, 1.04. And to change that to a percent, we move the decimal 2 places to the right. So that is 104%. Now I know that sounds like a big markup, and it is, but it really depends on what business you're in, what the markup is. If you're selling something that sells very slow, if you're selling pianos and you buy a piano to put in your store and it's going to sit on your floor for a year before you sell it, you have to get a larger markup for that, as opposed to something that you turn over several times a day. Because you have a building to pay for, heated, and it takes up space. All those things happen. So there are things that are marked up way over cost because there's no volume in the sales. You're not going to sell hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pianos every week. Now, something like groceries have like a single digit markup percent. Well, not over the cost, but over all the expense. The profit margin is really low on groceries. And that's because they sell a ton of them. And that's the kind of business that Amazon runs. They have driven prices way down because their volume is so high. So they can accept a lower percentage of markup because they have such higher volume. And that's the kind of things that drive prices down and drive markup amounts down. So there are things that have huge markups, and it really depends on what the item is. If you put a bag of potato chips out and you marked it up 100%, it would probably be very difficult to sell it for that price. But it's something like a piano I imagine a markup like this is probably pretty common. I think the markup on jewelry, fine jewelry, is the same way. I think it has a pretty large markup because it sits in the store for quite a while. And the whole time it's sitting there, you're paying employees to be there. You're paying the light bill, you're paying the rent. You have all kinds of expenses every day that that thing sits there. You have expenses and you're not making any money. So when you do sell it, you have to sell it for a higher price. He says, well, what just keeps somebody else from selling it for less and undercutting me? Because if they sell for less, they're gonna not make enough money to pay their bills. Now, if enough people are selling, if the volume has gone up and there's more demand, so then you'll be able to sell it for less as well. If it only sits in your store for 6 months instead of a year, well, that reduces a lot of the costs you have for employment and everything else. And you can take a smaller markup for that, just like you're doing. Drives prices down like that, increased demand for a product decreases prices. It's interesting to see the world we're living in now with inflation like it is. That's when there's too many people vying for the same products. The supply has gotten lower and the demand is higher, so prices are driven up. And when the money supply goes up like they've done here in the last couple of years, then that creates that problem. We have extra money, we go out to buy more. So we're competing each other for the same product, competing with each other for the same products, drive prices up. But anyway, this thing, whatever it is, definition TV, 104%. Let's do a couple more. To manufacture a dining set, it costs $1,400. So that looks like to me to be the cost. If the desired percent markup based on cost is 85%, how much should each dining set sell for? So in this case, they want to know the selling price. I know the formula for selling price is cost plus markup, but they haven't given, let's see, they want the markup amount to be 85% of the cost. So you should be able, this sounds similar to one that we've done. So take a minute and try to work this one through too.
I got 2,590.
All right, let's check that. So how did you figure out the markup amount?
I had gotten the cost, which is 1,400 times 0.85,
Very good.
which got me to 1,190, and then I add that by the markup, which got me 2,500.
Very good. So you take the cost. First, she calculated the markup, 1190. Then she added that to the cost, which gave her the selling price. Nice. Nice work. 2590. A client just paid $40,500 for a diamond necklace. If the percent markup based on cost was 115%, what was the cost? So what the client paid, that's the selling price. They want to know what the cost is. So we're going to use cost equals selling price minus the markup. Only this, what makes this one tricky, and this will be the last one we work today. This is where they get a lot trickier, I think. We're not able to directly calculate our markup because the markup is based on cost and we're not given the cost. So that sounds like a neat trick, doesn't it? The markup is 115% of cost, but we don't know what the cost is. But we do know something about the markup. We know that the markup is 115% of the cost. So 115%, which is 1.15 times the cost, that's what the markup's going to be. So now I'm going to plug that in for the markup. I'm going to plug this number. I got a number for the selling price, and then we will solve for the cost. So sometimes it's not given you directly. It's given to you in terms of another number and possibly another number you don't even know yet. And that's when it becomes tricky, but just take it a step at a time. So cost equals selling price, which is $40,500 minus the markup, which is 1.15 times the cost. Now we have to do, it's just like a little bit of algebra 1, I think, is what I would call. We need to get all these C's on the same side of the equation. This is 1C over here. And then I have this minus 1.15C. So I need to add this to both sides. So on this side, they cancel out, and I'm left with 40,500. And on this side, I have 1C plus 1.15C, which is 2.15C. Now, if anybody can remember back to when they took Algebra 1 in school, if 2.15C equals 40,500, how do you find out what just C equals?
Did you divide?
Hey, very good. You got all the answers today. Thank you. We divide, it's 2.15 times C. So when you're solving these equations, you kind of do the opposite if you want to undo something. So we're going to divide both sides by 2.15. See, and you probably, when you were in 9th grade and your teacher was teaching you a little bit of algebra, you said, I'm never going to use this for anything. And guess what? Today is the day. So the cost becomes whatever 40,500 is divided by 2.15. And I get 18,837.21. All right, so that's a good place to stop. We have 7 more questions. We can do that next week. Maybe it'll be a little quieter in here. I think they'll be done working on this place. And it'll be a little more conducive to learning. But this is where they start to get a little more difficult. So next class, we'll be doing more like this one, little trickier ones where we have to think a little bit harder. But I'll post this video in the next few days if you want to go back through it before next class and go back over how all these are worked. Plus, I'll post a video for those couple of questions I didn't cover from the last module. And next class, we'll finish up this module and you'll be ready to go for this test. So thanks everybody for coming today.
You're welcome.
Thank
Thank
you.
And thank you for helping me. I appreciate it. Have a good afternoon.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.